Så min Jeva, ich habe wieder Morgen-Session verpasst. Holy fucking shit. Und das meine ich wirklich eine Ausrede. Ich muss es ernster nehmen. Ich muss es wieder fucking ernster nehmen. Abend schaffe ich es, Abend ist kein Problem. Aber am Morgen, first thing of the day, God, Heavenly Father, ja, Umzug, viel los gewesen, bla 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 bla. I feel cool for all fucking excuses. Lock the fuck in, bro. Lock in with God. Like, just wake up 20 minutes earlier, bro. It's not that fucking hard, okay? Good. So 2 Samuel 15:27. The king also told Zadok the priest, look, here's my plan. You and Abiathar should return quietly to the city with your son Ahimaaz and Abiathar's son Jonathan. I will stop at the shallows of the Jordan River and wait there for a report from you. So Zadok and Abiathar took the ark of God back to the city and stayed there. David walked up to the road of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered and his feet were bare as a sign of mourning, and the people who were with him covered their hands and wept as they climbed the hill. Then someone told David that his advisor Ahithophel was now back. Absalom. David prayed, "O Lord, let Ahithophel give Absalom foolish advice." When David reached the summit of the Mount of Olives, where people worshipped God, Hushai the Archite was waiting there for him. Hushai had torn his clothing and put dirt on his head as a sign of mourning. But David told him, "If you go with me, you will only be a burden. Return to Jerusalem and tell Absalom, I will be your advisor, O king, just as I was to your father's advisor in the past. Then you can frustrate and counter Ahithophel's advice. Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, will be there. Tell them about the plans being made in the king's palace, and they will send their son Ahimaaz and Jonathan to tell me what is going on." So David's friend Hushai returned to Jerusalem, getting there just as Absalom arrived. David and Ziba, 2 Samuel 16. When David had gone little beyond the summit of the Mount of Olives, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, was waiting there for him. He had 2 donkeys loaded with 200 loaves of bread, 100 clusters of raisins, 100 bunches of summit fruit, and the wineskin full of wine. "What are these for?" the king asked Ziba. Ziba replied, "These donkeys are for the king's people to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit are for the young men to eat. The wine is for those who become exhausted in the wilderness." "And where is Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson?" the king asked him. "He stayed in Jerusalem," Ziba replied. "He said, 'For today I will get back the kingdom of my grandfather Saul.'" "In that case," the king told Ziba, "I give you everything Mephibosheth owns." "I bow before you," Ziba replied. "May I always be pleasing to you, my lord the king." Shimei curses David. As King David came to Bahurim, a man came out of the village cursing them. It was Shimei, son of Gera, from the same clan as Saul's family. He threw stones at the king, and the king's officers and all the mighty warriors who surrounded him. "Get out of here, you murderer, you scoundrel," he shouted at David. "The Lord is paying you back for all the bloodshed in Saul's clan. You stole his throne, and now the Lord has given it to your son Absalom. At last you will taste some of your own medicine, for you are a murderer. Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king?" Abishai, son of Zeruiah, demanded, "Let me go over and cut off his head." "No," the king said. "Who asked your opinion, you sons of Zeruiah? If the Lord has told him to curse me, who are you to stop him?" Then David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "My own son is trying to kill me. Doesn't this relative of Saul have even more reasons to do so? Leave him alone and let him curse, for the Lord has told him to do it. And perhaps the Lord will see that I am being wronged and will bless me because of these curses today." So David and his men continued down the road, and Shemuel kept pace with them on a nearby hillside, cursing and throwing stones and dirt at David. The king and all who were with him grew weary along the way, so they rested when they reached the Jordan River. Ahitophel advises Absalom. Meanwhile, Absalom and all the army of Israel arrived at Jerusalem, accompanied by Ahitophel. When David's friend Hushai the Archite arrived, he went immediately to see Absalom. "Long live the king," he exclaimed. "Long live the king." "Is this the way you treat your friend David?" Absalom asked him. "Why aren't you with him?" "I'm here because I belong to the man who is chosen by the Lord, by all the men of Israel," Hushai replied. "And anyways, why shouldn't I serve you? Just as I was your father's advisor, now I will be your advisor." Then Absalom turned to Ahitophel and asked him, "What should I do next?" Ahitophel told him, "Go sleep with your father's concubines, for he has left them here to look after the place. Then all Israel will know that you have insulted your father beyond hope of reconciliation, and they will throw their support to you." So they set up a tent on the palace roof where everyone could see it, and Absalom went in and had sex with his father's concubines. Absalom followed Ahitophel's advice, just as David had done. For every word Ahitophel spoke seemed as wise as though it had come directly from the mouth of God. Now Ahitophel urged Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men to start out after David tonight. I will catch up with him while he is weary and discouraged. He and his troops will panic, and everyone will run away. Then I will kill only the king, and I will bring all the people back to you as a bride returns to her husband. After all, it's only one man's life that you seek. Then you will be at peace with all the people." This plan seemed good to Absalom and to all the elders of Israel. Hushai counters Ahitophel's advice. But then Absalom said, "Bring in Hushai the Archite. Let's see what he thinks about it." When Hushai arrived, Absalom told him what Ahitophel said. Then he asked, "What is your opinion? Should we follow Ahitophel's advice? If not, what do you suggest?" "Well," Hushai replied to Absalom, "this time Ahitophel has made a mistake. You know your father and his men. They are mighty warriors. Right now they are enraged as a mother's bear who has been robbed of her cubs. And remember, your father is an experienced man of war. He won't be spending the night among the troops. He is probably already hidden in some pit or cave. And when he comes out and attacks, and few of our men fall, there will be panic among your troops, and the word will spread that Absalom's men are being slaughtered. Then even the bravest soldiers, though they have the heart of a lion, will be paralyzed with fear, for all Israel knows what a mighty warrior your father is and how courageous his men are. I recommend that you mobilize the entire army of Israel, bringing them from as far away as Dan in the north and Beersheba in the south. That way you will have an army as numerous as the sand in the seashore, and I advise that you personally lead the troops. When you find David, will fall on him like dew that falls on the ground. Then neither he nor any of his men will be left alive. And if David were to escape into some town, you will have all Israel there at your command. Then we can take ropes and drag the walls of the town into the nearest valley until every stone is torn down." Then Absalom and all the men of Israel said, "Hushai's advice is better than Ahitophel's." For the Lord had determined to defeat the counsel of Ahitophel, which really was the better plan, so that he could bring disaster to Absalom. Hushai warns David to escape. Hushai told Zadok and Abiathar the priests that Ahitophel said was to Absalom and the elders of Israel, and what he himself had advised and said. "Quick," he told them, "find David and urge him not to stay at the shallows of the Jordan River tonight. He must go across at once into the wilderness beyond. otherwise he will die and his entire army with him. Jonathan and Ahimaaz had been staying at En-Rogel, so as not to be seen and leaving the city. Arrangements had been made for a servant girl to bring them the message. They were to take to King David, but a boy spotted them at En-Rogel, and he told Absalom about it. So they quickly escaped to Bahurim, where a man hid them down inside a well in his courtyard. The man's wife put a cloth over the top of the well and splattered grain on it to dry in the sun, so no one suspected they were in there. When Absalom's men arrived, they asked her, "Have you seen Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" The woman replied, "They were here, but they crossed over the brook." Absalom's men looked for them without success and returned to Jerusalem. Then the two men crawled out of the well and hurtled to King David. "Quick," they told him, "cross the Jordan tonight." They told him how Ahithophel had advised that he be captured and killed. So David and all the people with him went across the Jordan River during the night, and they were all on the other bank before dawn. When Ahithophel realized that his advice had not been followed, he saddled his donkey, went to his hometown, and set his affairs in order, and hanged himself. He died there and was buried in the family tomb. David soon realized at Mahanaim by now Absalom had mobilized the entire army of Israel and was leading his troops across the Jordan River. Absalom had appointed Amasa as commander of his army, replacing Joab, who had been commander under David. Amasa was Hussein's cousin. His father was Jether, an Ishmaelite. His mother, Abigail, daughter of Nasha, was the sister of Joab's mother. Zeruiah, Absalom, and the Israelite army set up camp in the land of Gilead. When David arrived at Mahanaim, he was warmly greeted by Shobi, son of Nahash, who came from Rabbah of the Ammonites, and by Machir, son of Amiel of Lo-debar, and by Barzillai of Gilead from Rogelim. They brought sleeping mats and cooking pots, serving bowls, wheat and barley, flour and roasted grain, beans, lentils, honey, buffer, sheep, goats, and cheese for David and those who were with him. For they said, "You must all be very hungry and tired and thirsty after your long march through the wilderness." 2 Samuel 18. Absalom's defeat and death. David now mustered the men who were with him and appointed generals and captains to lead them. He sent the troops out in 3 groups, placing one group under Joab, one under Joab's brother Abishai, son of Zeruiah, and one under Ittai, the man of Gath. The king told his troops, "I'm going out with you." But his men objected strongly. "You must not go," they urged. "If we have to turn and run, and even if half of us die, it will make no difference to Absalom's troops. They will be looking only for you. You are worth 10,000 of us, and it's better that you stay here in the town and help if we need it." "If you think this is the best plan, I'll do it," the king answered. So he stood alongside the gate of the town as the troops marched out in groups, hundreds and of thousands. And the king gave his command to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, "For my sake, deal gently with young Absalom." And all the troops heard the king gave his order to the commanders. So the battle began in the forest of Ephraim, and the Israelites' troops were beaten back by David's men. There was a great slaughter that day, and 20,000 men laid down their lives. The battle raged all across the countryside, and more men died because of the forest than were killed by the sword. During the battle, Absalom happened to come upon some of David's men. He tried to escape on his mule, but as he rode beneath the thick branches of a great tree, his hair got caught in the tree. His mule kept going and left him dangling in the air. One of David's men saw what had happened and told Joab, "I saw Absalom hanging dangling from a great tree. What? Joab demanded. I saw him there. You saw him there and didn't kill him? I would have rewarded you with 10 pieces of silver, a hero's belt. I would not kill the king's son for even 1,000 pieces of silver, the man replied to Joab. We all heard the king say to you and Abishai and Ittai, for my sake, please spare young Absalom. And if I had betrayed the king by killing his son, and the king would certainly find out who did it, you yourself would be the first to abandon me. Enough of this nonsense, Joab said. Then he took 3 daggers and plunged them into Absalom's heart as he dangled, still alive, in the great tree. 10 of Joab's young armor-bearers then surrounded Absalom and killed him. Then Joab blew the ram's horn, and his men returned from chasing the army of Israel. They threw Absalom's body into a deep pit in the forest and piled a great heap of stones over it, and all Israel fled to their homes. During his lifetime, Absalom had built a monument to himself in the king's valley, for he said, I have no son to carry on my name. He named the monument after himself, and it is known as Absalom's monument to this day. David mourns Absalom's death. Then Zadok, son of Ahimaaz, said, let me run to the king with the good news that the Lord has rescued him from his enemies. No, Joab told him, it wouldn't be good news for the king that his son is dead. You can be my messenger another time, but not today. Then Joab said to a man from Ethiopia, go tell the king what you have seen. The man bowed and ran off. But Ahimaaz continued to plead with Joab, but whatever happens, please let me go too. Why should you go, my son? Joab replied. There will be no reward for your news. Yes, but let me go anyway, he begged. Joab finally said, all right, go ahead. So Ahimaaz took the less demanding route by way of the plain and ran to Mahanaim ahead of the Ethiopian. While David was sitting between the inner and outer gates of town, the watchman climbed to the roof of the gateway by the wall. He looked, he saw a lone man running towards them. He shouted the news down to David, and the king replied, if he is alone, he has news. As the messenger came closer, the watchman saw another man running towards them. He shouted down, here comes another one, the king replied. He also will have news. The first man runs like Ahimaaz, son of Zadok. The watchman said, ja? Eine Minute. Rumgerufen. He is a good man and comes with good news, the king replied. Then Ahimaaz cried out to the king, everything is all right. He bowed before the king with his face to the ground and said, praise to the Lord your God, who has handed over the rebels who dared to stand against my lord the king. What about young Absalom? The king demanded. Is he all right? Ahimaaz replied. When Joab told me to come, there was a lot of commotion, but I didn't know what was happening. Wait here, the king told him. So Ahimaaz stepped aside. Then the man from Ethiopia arrived and said, I have good news for my lord, the king. Today the Lord has rescued you from all those who rebelled against you. What happened to young Absalom? The king demanded. He is all right. And the Ethiopian replied, may all of your enemies, my lord, the king, both now and in the future, share the fate of that young man. The king was overcome with emotion. He went up to his room over the gateway, burst into tears. As he went, he cried, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son. 2 Samuel 19, Joab rebukes the king. Word soon reached Joab that the king was weeping and mourning for Absalom. As all the people heard of the king's deep grief for the son, the joy of that day's victory was turned into deep sadness. They crept back into the town that day as though they were ashamed and had deserted the battle. The king covered his face with his hands and kept on crying, my son Absalom, oh Absalom, my son, my son.